Where does that doggy in the window come from? Yes, the one with the waggly tail. Well, when a mommy dog and a daddy dog love each other very much, do not worry. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not 9th grade biology. You do not have to listen to that speech again. But really, where do the cute, adorable puppies in the pet store window come from? Before I go into that, I think I should tell you a little bit about me and why I might care about this sort of thing. I have grown up with animals. You know how when babies are born, they get their picture taken with like a teddy bear or bunnies? I got my picture taken with our border collie, Veronica. We have a lot of pets. Why? Because every time we see a stray on the side of the road, we take it home with us. Every single time. It doesn't matter what condition the animal was in or what size or shape it is, it will come home with us. Sometimes I think my mom is a magnet for stray animals. Who else brings home a cross-eyed pointer? Or a pit bull with a rare blood disorder? Or a 3-legged cat? Well, my mom. I have been raised to think of these animals as my family, and people who abuse them should be so ashamed of themselves they can't even show their face in public. So back to the question at hand. Where do the puppies in the pet store window come from? Pardon me. Well, because this just so happens to be the topic of my speech, I guess I'll tell you. The puppies in the pet store windows come from puppy mills. Yes, puppy mills or puppy factories. The one job of this factory is to produce puppies that people want to buy. So the cute dogs, popular dogs, and the pure breeds. These dogs are bred to be someone's living status symbol, or bred to be sold to the unsuspecting family that just wants to bring a cute, fuzzy variable home and integrate them into their life. What's so wrong about breeding dogs to sell into a pet store? I mean, animal husbandry has been going on forever. What makes this different? Well, in this business, the main focus is not the dogs. It's money. The people at puppy mills want to maximize their profit by minimizing spending. Now, what does this mean for the dogs? Cheap care, cheap housing, cheap food, no love. These dogs are bred by the hundred and overcrowded into places that weren't meant to hold half that number. The definition of a puppy mill, or at least the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or the ASPCA's definition, is a large-scale commercial dog breeding operation that places profit over the well-being of its dogs, who are often severely neglected, and acts without regards to proper breeding practices. The life of a dog in a puppy mill is not pleasant. Let's say Fluffy here is a breeding dog at a puppy mill. Once she reaches a certain age, she can start having puppies. And let's say she has the average number of puppies in a litter, or 6. She can have a litter twice a year. What about the next year? And the next year? And all the years after that? That isn't healthy. Eventually, Fluffy's body is going to wear out, and she is no longer going to be able to produce puppies. Now, I would love to say that when Fluffy loses her value, and she can no longer produce puppies. She'll be sent to a wonderful home and live happily ever after. But that isn't true. She could be shot or killed in some other manner. The other parts of Fluffy's life and all the other dogs in puppy mills aren't so great either. They are fed only the cheapest food, which has no nutritional value, and they are fed only enough of it to survive. This state of malnutrition and starvation that they are kept in causes all their fur to fall out, amongst other problems. The way they are bred, or inbred, causes a lot of genetic diseases like hip dysplasia or dry eye. They're hardly ever let out of their cages. And because cleaning their cages would take way too much time and effort, the dogs often develop acid burns. They can develop tumors and also hernias. Their teeth are rarely, if ever, cleaned, and they can have their teeth completely rotten by age 4. After their teeth rot, their jaw is next, and sometimes this causes infection to climb up their face. People at puppy mills dislike dogs that bark, so they debark them by ramming a metal pole down their throat and breaking their voice box. Sometimes the people are too rough, or the pipe is too big for the dog, and the dog's jaw is broken in the process. Ow. The dogs are kept in wire cages. For big dogs with big paws, it bruises their paws and cuts their paws. It hurts. But for little dogs with little paws, sometimes their feet are small enough to fit through the holes in the wire cages. The real problem is when they try to pull themselves out. The wire can sometimes severely cut through and sometimes cut off their paw. Overcrowding is also a major problem in puppy mills. If you lock a whole bunch of humans in a room together and never, ever, ever let them out, eventually they're going to get into a fight, they're going to argue. Same thing with dogs, except for they don't have words. They have teeth. That does not end well. Vet care for these dogs is virtually non-existent, and infections are way too common. So that's one part of the puppy mill, but what about the actual puppies? I mean, they fare a little bit better than their parents. Let's follow Fluffy's daughter, Brownie. At about 5 weeks old, Brownie, her siblings, and all the other puppies will be loaded into crates and shipped off in planes and rigs. They most likely will not have adequate food or water, and many of them won't survive the trip, probably including some of Brownie's siblings. Dogs like Brownie are not just sold in pet stores, they're also sold online. This is a pet store's, or a puppy mill's chance to sell the dogs that are obviously ill and have something wrong with them. They promise to ship you your brand new puppy, and when it arrives, it's extremely sick. The diseases that some of these dogs have take thousands of dollars to cure, and some of them aren't even curable. Can you imagine getting a brand new puppy and having it die a few weeks later because it was so sick? How is this legal, and how do we stop it? I mean, there are laws to regulate puppy mills. Texas just added a few, actually. But the laws are often bent or ignored to fit the owner's needs and budget. Here's one example. The law states that dogs must be able to stand up, sit down, turn around, and lie down comfortably while in a cage. That sounds pretty good to me. But what the law does not say is how many dogs can be in a cage at one time. So 3, 4, 5. Technically, it's legal. The best way to stop this would be to stop buying from pet stores that buy from puppy mills. But it's virtually impossible to tell if a puppy comes from a puppy mill once it leaves the puppy mill. The best way to stop that would be to buy from a respectable breeder. But how do you know a respectable breeder is a respectable breeder and not a puppy mill trying to pull one over your head? I mean, there's a lot of things about a puppy mill that could be deceiving to a regular person. I mean, many dogs from puppy mills are American Kennel Club, AKC certified. Many puppy mills are USDA, United States Department of Agriculture certified. Having a dog that is AKC certified does not mean anything. It is not a statement of health. It just means the dog is purebred. And a kennel must be USDA certified to even sell to a pet store. So that doesn't mean much either. Wouldn't it be so much easier if pet stores decided to advertise that they did not buy from puppy mills with, say, a seal of approval? I mean, but how would they know that they aren't buying from a puppy mill? Well, if they bought from certified breeders, certified with the same seal of approval, it would be easy to regulate the pet stores. But who would regulate the breeders in the first place? It would have to be someone with a kind heart, someone who knows what to look for in a good, humane home, and preferably someone who does this out of the kindness of their heart, which means they would do this for free. Where in the world would we find someone like that? Well, what if pet shelter volunteers certified the breeders? They volunteer at shelters because they love animals and they work for free. In return, the breeders could pay a small fee to the shelters that could go to expanding the shelters and giving animals in the shelters more time to get into a good home before they're euthanized. The shelters should want to certify the breeders because the small fee that goes to them, they could help get more animals off the street. They could help a lot of more animals. Plus, animals that are well-bred and live in a good, humane home are less likely to develop behavioral issues. They're less likely to develop genetic diseases, and they're less likely to have crippling illnesses. Breeders should want to be certified by shelters because it would possibly bring in more clientele for them. If a pet store agrees to buy from a breeder every time they have a litter, that would be a guaranteed revenue every time they have a litter. And pet stores should want to buy from certified breeders because that would bring in more clientele for them. And potential puppy owners should definitely want pet stores to be certified because it guarantees they are buying a high-quality, well-bred puppy that will have less genetic diseases, less crippling illnesses, and be more likely to stay with their family longer. And the people who don't really like dogs, but they don't hate them, they should want shelters to certify breeders and pet stores because it helps get more stray animals off the street so they can enjoy their early morning jog. Everyone wins. This is kind of like that adage, how do you eat an elephant? Well, honestly, I wouldn't eat an elephant. I am vegetarian. But how do you eat an elephant-sized anything? You eat it one bite at a time. This is just the first bite. The next bite could be animal cruelty in cats in pet stores. And then the next bite. And then the next bite. But we're not done yet. There's still a lot more left to eat. So you keep eating and eating until you've devoured all of animal cruelty. I mean, this elephant doesn't just belong to the US, doesn't just belong to Mexico, doesn't just belong to China. Animal cruelty is everywhere. This elephant belongs to the whole entire world. This plan, it's not just for dogs, but I mean, it doesn't focus on any other animal. It is just one plausible, attainable, hopeful first step, a solution to a small part of the larger problem. It is just one bite for us to take, one bite for us all to chew. Together, we can take our first bite out of animal cruelty. I hope you brought your appetite. Thank you.